Hey, it's Diane. 53 then, voice still catching when I smell pine needles and campfire smoke mixed with the faint sweetness of cheap Cabernet. If you know how one single weekend can redraw every single line you swore you'd never cross in a million years, stay close. Smash subscribe, drop a comment, tell me the exact moment you realized just family stopped being simple and turned into something that kept you awake at 3 a.m. for months. Part 1 starts here. Slow, detailed, no filter. I married young. High school sweetheart Tom, captain of the football team, prom king to my prom queen, the whole cliche. We said I do at 22 in the same Baptist church where my parents had stood 30 years earlier. 2 daughters by the time I hit 30, Emily, the planner, the overachiever, the one who color-coded her crayons in first grade. And Lauren, the dreamer, the artist, the one who still had paint under her nails at her college graduation. Tom sold industrial air conditioning units, big contracts, bigger travel schedule. I taught 4th grade at Pineville Elementary, coached the girls' soccer team on Saturdays, kept the pantry alphabetized and the laundry folded before it hit the basket. Life was a well-oiled machine. Alarm at 5:45, coffee in the travel mug by 6, lesson plans printed in Comic Sans because the kids loved it, carpool at 7:15 sharp. Emily met Chris at a charity 5K for the local animal shelter. Muddy course, October chill, both of them laughing at the finish line covered in dirt. He was 30, civil engineer for a firm downtown. Easy laugh that crinkled the corners of his hazel eyes, broad shoulders earned from weekend pickup soccer with the guys from work. They dated exactly 18 months. First date tacos at a food truck, engagement at the same shelter where they'd met, wedding in our backyard under string lights and mason jar centerpieces filled with baby's breath. I cried during the vows. Tom teared up when Chris promised to love Emily in sickness and in health, in overtime and in off-season. We loved Chris like a son from day one, helped with the down payment on their starter home in Waxhaw, babysat their hyperactive Labradoodle named Pickles, sent them on anniversary weekends with gift cards to bed and breakfasts we'd never afford ourselves. Every July since Emily was 10, we rented the same weathered lake house on Lake Normand. 3 bedrooms, sagging dock, ancient pontoon boat that coughed to life on the 3rd try, pine trees so thick the sunlight came in slivers. Tradition was sacred. Friday night steaks on the Rusty Weber, Saturday morning pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse, tubing until someone screamed, "Shark!" even though the lake was too shallow for anything with teeth, s'mores around the fire pit while the kids counted constellations, Sunday packing up with sandy towels and half-eaten bags of chips. That year, Tom had a mandatory conference in Vegas, some HVAC convention with keynote speakers and a slot machine crawl. He left Thursday morning, suitcase already half-packed by the door, promising to bring back a snow globe and a story about a celebrity sighting. I almost canceled the lake trip. Without Tom, it felt off balance. But Emily texted a string of pleading emojis and a sonogram photo with the caption, "Baby Bean says come." She was 6 weeks pregnant, secret still locked between the 3 of us. "Mom, we need girl time. Chris is driving, Pickles is staying with the neighbors. Please." I packed Thursday night. 3 sundresses, 1 floral, 1 navy, 1 white eyelet I hadn't worn since Lauren's graduation, 2 bottles of Cabernet from the grocery store's buy one, get one bin, sunscreen, SPF 50 because skin cancer runs in the family, my quilted tote with embroidery that read, "World's okayest, Mom," and a secret stash of dark chocolate sea salt caramels for midnight cravings. Chris pulled into the driveway Friday at 4 p.m. sharp, his silver Subaru Outback already loaded with coolers, duffels, a portable speaker, and Emily's pregnancy pillow that looked like a giant U. He hopped out in board shorts and a faded UNCT, hugged me tight, smelled like Irish Spring and gasoline. "Ready for lake therapy, Diane?" I laughed, climbed into the passenger seat, Emily already reclining in the back with ginger ale and saltines. The drive took 2 hours. Traffic on I-77, Emily napping against the window, Chris and I trading playlists. He put on 90s country, I countered with classic rock. We sang off-key to Friends in Low Places and argued good-naturedly about whether Garth Brooks or George Strait was the true king. Dusk painted the sky lavender when we turned onto the gravel road lined with mailboxes shaped like fish. The lake house appeared, peeling gray paint, wraparound porch with rocking chairs older than my daughter's, the familiar creak of the screen door. Chris unloaded the SUV like a pack mule. Coolers first, then duffels, then my tote with the caramels peeking out. Emily claimed the master bedroom with the king bed and the window that faced the water. I took the bunk room with the twin beds and the faded "Keep Calm and Lake On" poster. Chris gallantly volunteered for the lumpy couch in the living room that smelled faintly of mildew and old dog. We grilled steaks on the ancient Weber, medium rare for Chris, well done for Emily because pregnancy aversions, medium for me, corn on the cob dripping butter, baked potatoes wrapped in foil, grocery store cheesecake for dessert, opened the first bottle of Cabernet at sunset, cheap but drinkable, the kind that stains your teeth purple. Fire pit crackled to life with fat wood and newspaper. Emily roasted one marshmallow, declared herself done for the night, kissed Chris on the cheek, hugged me tight, and waddled inside by 9:30. Left Chris and me with the dying embers, half a bottle of wine, and the kind of silence that hums louder than conversation.
Embers glowed orange against the black, throwing shadows that danced across Chris's face. High cheekbones, 5 o'clock shadow, the small scar above his left eyebrow from a college rugby match. He poked the logs with the rusty fire iron. Sparks spiraled upward like tiny fireworks before winking out. I refilled our plastic cups. Third pour, maybe fourth. The Cabernet loosening the knots in my shoulders I hadn't realized were there. Conversation flowed easier than the wine. His recent promotion to senior project manager, the nausea that hit Emily every morning at 6:47 on the dot, Tom's obsession with perfecting his golf swing, even though his handicap hadn't budged in a decade. Laughter bubbled up, mine louder than usual, his deeper, the kind that rumbled in his chest. His knee brushed mine on the narrow bench. Static electricity shot up my thigh. I shifted an inch, but he didn't move away. "Ever think life's just too short?" he asked, voice low, almost lost under the crackle. The question hung between us like smoke. I laughed. Too loud, too bright. "Every single day since I turned 50, kiddo." He studied me then. Really looked. Sundress straps slipping off one shoulder from the humidity, hair escaping the loose braid in frizzy wisps, laugh lines I'd earned from 25 years of parent-teacher conferences and soccer game sidelines. "You look good, Diane. Like really good." The words landed heavy, warm. Heat unrelated to the fire crept up my neck. Emily's snores drifted through the open window above us. Soft, rhythmic, the sound of someone dead to the world. Chris stood, offered his hand, calloused from weekend projects, warm from the flames. "Walk to the dock, clear our heads." I took it, without thinking, let him pull me up. Our fingers stayed linked for 3 heartbeats too long before I let go. Moon silvered the water, turned the lake into a mirror. We walked the creaking boards side by side, flip-flops slapping, crickets loud in the reeds. Sat on the edge of the dock, feet dangling above the inky surface. Silence stretched, thick and sweet. His shoulder touched mine. Accidental, then not. I didn't move. The wine buzzed in my veins. The lake lapped gentle. The pines whispered secrets. Kiss started slow. Hesitation, wine taste, the brush of stubble against my chin. Then deeper, his hand cupping my jaw, my fingers twisting in the soft hair at his nape. Years melted. I was 30 again, kissing Tom behind the bleachers at the homecoming game. Chris tasted like Cabernet Impossibility. My back arched, his thumb traced my collarbone. Pulled away gasping, forehead still touching. "We can't," I whispered. "I know," he breathed. We sat another minute, breathing hard, lake water slapping the pilings like a warning. Stood without speaking, walked back, separate paths. He to the couch, me to the bunk room, door closed firm between us.
Saturday sunrise painted the lake peach and gold.
I woke first, habit of a teacher. Brewed coffee and the ancient Mr. Coffee that gurgled like it was on its last leg. Chris emerged from the couch nest of blankets, hair tousled, eyes bloodshot. Avoided my gaze while pouring coffee into a chipped, world's best dad mug that had been there since Emily was 12. Emily shuffled out at 8, green around the gills, sipping ginger ale from a bendy straw. We loaded the pontoon like a well-oiled team, cooler with turkey sandwiches and watermelon, towels folded military style, Bluetooth speaker charged, sunscreen slathered. Emily claimed the cushioned bench under the bimini top, pregnancy pillow propped, baseball cap pulled low. Chris drove slow circles around the lake, wake gentle, country station low. I sunned on the bow in my navy bikini, first time in years. Bought on clearance at Target. High-waisted bottoms, because gravity is real. Felt his eyes on my back more than once when he glanced in the rear view. Anchored in a quiet cove by noon, water clear enough to see fish darting, pine trees crowding the shoreline. Emily napped hard, mouth open, one hand on her still flat stomach. Chris killed the engine, swam over from the ladder side, climbed aboard dripping, stood close enough that lake water dripped from his hair onto my bare shoulder. "Last night," he started. I cut him off, voice sharp. "Drunk, forgotten, never speak of it." He nodded, but his fingers brushed my wrist. Lightning. Emily stirred. We sprang apart like teenagers caught behind the gym. Day blurred into lake montage, tubing until Lauren would have screamed, turkey sandwiches on paper plates, Emily's laughter when a dragonfly landed on her nose, Chris diving for lost sunglasses, me floating on a noodle pretending everything was normal. Wine again at dusk. Emily stuck to sparkling water. Chris and I split the second bottle on the dock while she napped inside. Fire pit redux by 9. Emily crashed early. Pregnancy exhaustion is no joke. Left us with the flames, the wine, and the memory of last night, humming like a live wire.
Midnight. Emily out cold, door cracked, fan whirring. Chris whispered from the hallway, "Your room or mine?" Heart hammered so loud, I swore the bunk beds shook. Led him to my room, twin beds pushed together years ago by some previous renter, moonlight striping the faded quilt. Door clicked shut, kiss frantic, sundress unzipped with trembling fingers, bikini top untied and tossed toward the dresser, his board shorts hitting the floor. Skin on skin, decades falling away like the straps of my dress. He laid me back on the lower bunk, slow entry, eyes locked, my gasp muffled in the curve of his shoulder. Rhythm built, deep, deliberate, bed creaking soft against the pine wall. Flipped me gentle onto my stomach, hands on hips, entered from behind, careful, slick with sunscreen and want. Pressure new and tense, breath caught in my throat, then released in rolling waves that started low and built until my fingers clawed the sheets. Climax crashed simultaneous, his low groan in my ear, my teeth sinking into the pillow to stay quiet. Collapse tangled, sweat cooling, lake breeze through the screen window. Reality slammed in with the crickets. Drunk, I whispered into the dark. One time, never again. He nodded against my neck, breath warm. Our secret, Diane. Always. We dressed in silence, me slipping into an oversized t-shirt, him pulling on boxers. He kissed my forehead, slipped out. I lay awake until the sky turned gray, replaying every second, guilt and glow warring in my chest.
Sunday morning, packed in near silence, coolers rinsed in the lake, sheets stripped and folded, sandy towels shaken over the railing. Emily glowed, oblivious, snapping photos of the sunrise for her pregnancy journal. Chris loaded the SUV with the same efficiency, coolers first, then duffels, then my tote with the half-eaten caramels. Drive home. Emily slept in the back seat, mouth open, pregnancy pillow clutched like a teddy bear.
Chris's hand found mine over the console after we hit I-77, squeezed once, let go. Neither of us spoke until the Charlotte skyline appeared. Tom returned Sunday night, tan, full of Vegas stories about a magician who made a tiger disappear and a steak dinner that cost more than our first microwave. Life resumed on autopilot. Back to school night, soccer practice, Sunday dinners with Emily's latest ultrasound photos passed around like trading cards. Chris's eyes met mine across the turkey at Thanksgiving. Quick, loaded, gone. Emily announced the pregnancy to the extended family. We toasted with sparkling cider, secret locked tight behind my smile. Years passed in snapshots. Emily and Chris moved to Raleigh for his new job. Lake House tradition faded after the baby arrived. Colic, daycare, exhaustion. Tom retired early, took up woodworking. I switched to teaching third grade. Easier on the knees. Chris texts on my birthday. Safe emojis. Hope you're well. Some nights I smell pine and feel phantom hands on my hips. The creak of the bunk bed. The hush of the lake. It was wine. Grief for an empty nest. A moment suspended in moonlight. Stays between us, under pine needles, on water that never tells.